Hello. Okay. So good morning, grade 12. So before we start, we will pray first. Our most gracious and kind Heavenly Father, we are so thankful, dear God, for this wonderful day. Thank you for the bountiful blessings that we receive. And as we will have our discussion, dear Father, may you give us knowledge and wisdom that we will be able to understand and forgive us, O Lord, for our sins. Thank you for loving us. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so again, good morning, grade 12. So our topic this morning is about global network. So this is the part one of our lesson. So our objectives is first is to give examples of various activities in one's daily life that show the concrete effect of globalization. Number two, explains the concrete effect of globalization to one's daily life. And then number three is to explain the need for collaboration and cooperation to achieve interconnectedness of people and nation. And A is to show in, okay, so it's done. So it's one, two, and three lang. Okay, so did you know that in the early and late 1980s, one most popular means of reaching out to loved ones from abroad to their families in the Philippines was through voice tape. So do you know that one class? So I know this because I have my auntie before. She is in Israel, and by the time she sends tapes, voice tapes, then we try to hear it. So alam ko to class, I know this kasi I have auntie before na nagpapadala talaga siya ng mga tapes, the voice tapes. Okay, you might not be aware of it though, but it takes about a month or months for a tape recorded voice message to be played by their family using cassette tape players. Yes, I don't know if in your time, naabutan niyo ba yung mga cassette tape players? But in my time, yes, nagagamit pa namin yan class. Then imagine how delay it is for their family to receive, di ba? It takes month or months. So imagine that one. So example, last month pa yung pangyayari na yun that you recorded, and then the following month pa pala marireceive ng inyong family. Well, that was prior to our era of today when almost anything can be assessed in real time despite global distance. So now that gave birth to the present concept of globalization. So generally, globalization was born out of the interlinkages of nation states, which has in varied ways influenced the life of people worldwide. So we might not be able to enumerate the effect of globalization in our daily lives, but in this module, it will help you deepen your understanding about globalization. So let us now study the meaning, nature, and various activities in one's daily life that show some concrete effect of globalization. So in this lesson class, you will understand more the effect of globalization in our lives, especially in our present situation today. So what are the effect of globalization, or what is really globalization? Okay, so in your activity, you will do this one. So directions in your previous module, you have already understood intuitive thinking and strategic thinking. Diba? We are done this one with our previous module. So in this activity, I want you to differentiate the two using diagram below. So write your answers on a separate sheet of paper. So just differentiate the intuitive thinking and strategic thinking in that diagram below. Okay, so here, globalization. So as cited in the revisitatica 2012, nabubulol ako class, Revisita Distatica. The term globalization refers to the emergence of an international network belonging to an economic and social system. So when we say globalization class, it refers to the emergence. Emergence is yung para bang birth, the birth of international network. Okay, one of the earliest uses of the term globalization as known was in 1930 in a publication entitled Towards New Education. So take note on that class that it was known first in 1930 as Towards New Education to designate an overview of the human experience in education. So since the invention of the concept, globalization has inspired numerous definitions and has had a history going back in time to the great commercial and imperialist movements throughout Asia and the Indian Ocean since the 15th century. So Roland Robertson, a professor of sociology at the University of Aberdeen, was the first person who defined globalization as the understanding of the world and the increased perception of the world as a whole. So that is according to Roland Robertson. Take note on that ha. So ano raw class? According to him, when we say globalization, it is defined as understanding of the world. So you will understand the world and the increased perception of the world as a whole. Then another one is from Martin Albro and Elizabeth King, sociologists. So they define globalization as all those processes by which the people of the world are incorporated into a single world society. So when we say globalization class, it's just like pinag-isa yung mga tao. Though we are in a different country, but because of this globalization, we're able to interact with each other. Diba? Process by which the peoples of the world are incorporated into a single world society. Okay, it can be linked to the local, the national, and the regional. So on the other hand, a connection is made between social and economic relationships and network organized on local or national. So on the other hand, it connects social and economic relationships and networks formed on wider scale, the regional and global interaction. So this is the purpose or the meaning of globalization class. Okay, connect social and economic relationships. Okay, then it is a process of interaction and integration among the people. So companies and governments of different nations. So as I've said, though we are in different countries, but we will be able to interact with different people, diba? Interaction and integration. So a process driven by international trade and investment and aided by information technology. Because before class, it's very hard for us to connect with other in other countries, especially in communication, di ba? So it took months para mo abot ang message. So it's hard nga unsaon na to pag-connect with them or especially in terms of economics, di ba? Lisod ka ita mo connect. But then because of this globalization, as years passed by, especially today, it is very easy for us to connect with them. Okay, this process has effect on the environment, so on culture, on political systems, on economic development and prosperity, and in human physical well-being and societies around the world. So for many developing nations, globalization has led to an improvement in standard of living through improved roads and transportation, improved healthcare, and improved education due to the global expansion of corporation. So these are the positive effects of globalization class. So take note on this, ha? Okay, because of this globalization, so it leads to an improvement in standard of living. In what way? Through improved roads and transportation, improved healthcare, and improved education. So this is due to the global expansion of corporation. So however, globalization has had a negative effect on individuals who live in developed nations. Some of factors that cause globalizations are migration and labor. So if there are advantages, class, with this globalization, there are also negative effects. So just like for example, migration and labor, di ba? For example, for us, of course, we know that in other country, we have salary there that is enough for our living. Not like in the Philippines, di ba nga, ang ato ang salary diri is just enough for us lang yun for that month. But in other country, of course, pwede siya ma-times 2 or times 3. That's why migration, we prefer to go to other country for our work. So that is the one of the negative effects. So when we say migration, what is the meaning of that? So according here, migration is a movement to another place, often of a large group of people. So for example, diri sa ato a class, so some other people prefer to go to a city to find jobs. Mas daghang trabaho sa city, like for example in Manila. Di ba they are very crowded over kuan na sila, populated ang ang place. That's why pag naay mga calamities dito class, and if you observe in the city, wala na kay mga trees dito kay na puro na siya mga buildings, di ba? Trabaho. That's why it has a negative effect also. Migration, it can cause overpopulated na din sa place. Then when we say labor, is defined as work, especially hard or physical work. So of course, we will find a better job. So mostly, diha again sa city or in other country na to makita. So that's why we go in another place. People are more willing to move between different countries today in search for work. Remittances now play a large role in transfers from developed countries to developing countries. Yes, because of course, remittances every month, magpadala ang mga OFW sa ang relatives in the Philippines. Okay, so take note, class, of the positive effect and the negative effect of globalization, class. So again, when we say globalization, gani, it is about the interaction of different people from different countries. But then, the positive effect is that is, of course, our living. So pwede siyang mo-improve. Then, of course, develop roads, healthcare services. But the negative effect also is migration and labor. Then we have here the types of globalization. The first one is economic globalization. Okay, it is the increasing economic integration and interdependence of national, regional, and local economies. So across the world, through an intensification of cross-border movement of goods, services, technologies, and capital. So economic globalization, this is about our regional and local economies across the world. So kana bitong kuan siya class, kanang sabay tawag ani, murag trading ba across the world nga pwede sila, they can invest business in our country and we can also invest in their country. So just like border movement of goods, di ba? Services, technologies, and capital. So and it is really happening now. So there are some Filipinos that, though we are just here in the Philippines, but still we have our work abroad through online. Okay, technologies, di ba? Okay, examples of this, transnational trades are companies that extend beyond the borders of one country. Example of this are Unilever and McDonald's. Yes, this, di ba? The Unilever and the McDonald's class, you can see their branches around the world. So that is the example of economic globalization. Bisag asa ra siya in any countries na siya. Then the next one is the World Trade Organization. It is the only global international organization dealing with the rules of trade between nations. So the WTO has 164 members and 24 observer governments. So that is the World Trade Organization. So it is an organization, international organization. So whole world siya class. dealing with the rules of trade. So siya ang ga-control kanang between the trade between nations. So kanang muagi pa sa iya atanan class if you have businesses in other countries or kanang exchange rata og business or branches. So the World Trade Organization, they are the one to kumbaga makapasar ba ni siya nga pwede ba ni siya diri. So okay, so that is the WTO or the World Trade Organization. Then the next is the foreign direct investment. It is an investment in the form of a controlling ownership in a business in one country by an entity based in another country. So it is thus distinguished from a foreign portfolio investment by a nation of direct control. So in 2019, China and South Korea followed Singapore as the largest investors in the Philippines. So foreign direct investment. So ga-invest sila in other country just like in 2019, the China and South Korea followed Singapore. So Singapore daw class as the largest investors in the Philippines. So nag-follow po ang China and South Korea. So ga-invest sila in our country. Then the social globalization is a social transformation or process leading to the achievement of people-centered development. So human-centered development concept is offered as an alternative strategy to bring about a more equity development outcome. So that is social globalization. Diba? Social transformation or process leading to the achievement of people-centered development. So global social globalization aims to improve people's development, okay, achievement. Then example is the UN or UN General Assembly. You have the Partnership of International Development Program. Then the social integration, gender equity, and access to social services. Then you also have there HIV or AIDS awareness. So social globalization helps us to improve by the different programs or departments that we have. Then we also have, okay, ang haba pala nito. Okay, the political globalization, it refers to an increasing trend toward multilateralism in an emerging transnational state apparatus and the emergence of national and international non-government organizations that act as watchdogs over government. So the government has four distinct roles in addressing sustainability concerns. So these roles are as follows. So we have policy development, regulation, facilitation, internal sustainability management. So political globalization class, overall na sila nga, sila pa watchdogs over government. So political, sila ang monitor tanan in different countries kung about their governance, diba? So political globalization. Then the financial globalization is a collective concept that refers to increasing global linkages created through cross-border financial flows. So financial integration refers to an individual country's linkages to international capital markets. So sila pod ang assigned for financial. So financial globalization. So they are refer to increasing global linkages created through cross-border financial flow. So sila ang ga-monitor ana. Then the technological globalization is accelerated in large part by technological transmission, the spread of technology across border. Although the Philippines is not the world's least technologically advanced country, it is far from leading. It ranked 83 out of 138 countries in terms of technological readiness, according to the Department of Science and Technology or the DOST. So technological globalization, so they are also assigned class to monitor the technologies in the different countries, and according to studies, the Philippines, though we are not the world's least technologically or kung baga dili gud siya ingon nga ang Philippines kita na gid ang pinakaubos in terms of technology, but still layo kaayo ta dito sa rank 1, 2, or whatever, kaya naara ta sa rank 83. Rank 83 out of 138 countries. So imagine that one class. So dili pa gyud ta ing anak progressive in terms of technology, no, lahi ra gyud kayo sa ilaa. But still, we are still improving naman sad. Then the ecological globalizations occurs when ecosystems are constantly exchanging materials through the movement of air in the atmosphere, the flow of water in rivers, and the migration of animals across the landscape. So ecological globalization, sila po nag-monitor anak class about the weather, about the movement of air, and so on. Then geographical globalization is defined as the set of process, economic, social, cultural, technological, and institutional that contributes to the relationship between societies and individuals around the world. So kani po sila, geographical globalization, sila po ang monitor with the relationship between societies and individuals around the world. So it is a progressive process by which exchanges and flows between different parts of the world are intensified. Okay, so let us now identify some positive and negative effects of globalization. So here, class, you can really see what are the positive and negative effects of globalization. So for the positive, we have here, it creates opportunities for countries to connect to other countries for larger markets. This can lead to more access capital, cheaper imports, and larger export markets, and it allows businesses to become part of the international production networks and supply chains in different countries. Then it allows workers to migrate from their homelands in poor countries to more developed countries to find work. And then the last one is technologies are introduced to make a narrow product more efficiently. So that is the positive effect. But what about the negative effects, class? So we have here the growth of international trade has worsened income inequalities between developing, and underdeveloped countries. Then global commerce is increasingly dominated by transnational corporations which seek to maximize profit without regard for the development needs of individual countries. Then competitions among developing countries are races which dangerously lower environmental standards. Then parents and children can spend a decade apart where they pass their responsibilities to grandparents. And many developing countries do not have strict rules about environmental protection, resulting in serious air, water, and soil pollution. So take note on that, class, had the positive and negative effect of globalization. So because you are not all online, so unta maka-ask unta ko if you are favor with this globalization or not, based on the positive and negative effect, no? But anyway, if you have question, just message me na lang in my messenger. Then interconnection of people and nations. So last part, globalization leads to interconnectedness of people and nations, where people refer to a group of people with commonality, such as religion, culture, and language, who lives in a specific area, while nation refers to a larger group of people organized in specific place, so which embodied an independent government of its country where they can decide on their own. So just remember, class, when we say globalization, it leads to connectedness of people around the world. Okay, so when we say people, it refers to a group of people with commonality, no, like religion, culture, language. While when we say nation, it refers to a large group of people organized in a specific place. Try to imagine how can we connect our loved ones, especially in this time of pandemic, without technologies. So what if, class, our globalization did not prosper? So how can we connect our loved ones this time, especially that we have pandemic? Kung saan ka, class, no, without technology. And then especially now in our Facebook, we can see them. Bisag naapa na sila sa America or in other country, we can see them, di ba? We can monitor them. Okay. But then, how about kung wala ka high technology? Di ba na ganito yung one time, katong December, katong grabe kayo ang bagyong Odette, di ba? If you remember, So the day after that one, nga typhoon, walay signal whole day, di ba? Friday to siya, walay signal whole day, and all the people, mura na silang malisang class. Mura na silang malisang. One day ra ganito siya nga walay signal. I know, siguro kamusta, di ba? That time, how much more kung wala gid siya technology all the time? How can we connect our loved ones, especially nga na sila in other country, no? Okay, cell phones connect people all over the world like never before. So sa una, wala pa yung cellphone. There are a multitude of platforms through which people can communicate to, including Facebook, Messenger, WhatsApp, Instagram, and Snapchat. So there are a lot of platforms that we can connect our loved ones. So considering the new normal education, how can we enroll in our online education programs in school from anywhere in the Philippines without the different platforms and access new information or virtual topics? So what if class, this pandemic happened before that there is no technology yet like cell phones, laptops, diba, or other gadgets, or there is no internet connection? So siguro we cannot continue our education class, no? Dili siguro ta maka-continue sa tong klase kay of course in this pandemic so nagsalig ra gyud ta sa online classes, especially we can monitor you or yes, monitor your studies, project and all through online. So what if nahitabo ni nga pandemic ato pang time nga wala pa ning mga technology? Siguro it's very hard for us to continue our studies. Then collaboration means to work together with others to achieve a common goal, unconditionally sharing everything and helping each other while mutually working together in cohesive or collective in unusual rules, embracing talents of each person to synergize or invent something new in a way that benefits all the groups, serves the whole team's goal, and may result to creative innovation. Then we also have here cooperation. It is the process of working together of the same end. It is an active help from a person, organization, etc. So collaboration is you work together. Cooperation is still, mararagyapo na siya og collaboration, cooperation. Collaboration plus is you work together. Cooperation is you will cooperate to work. Diba? Then, okay, so cooperation, this will lead to benefit some individuals in a group, meets their personal needs, and may result in disrupted innovation. Okay, then such an orderly sharing of space and resources. Cooperation means conditionally sharing information. So conditionally siya class kay it's up to you if you will cooperate or not. So cooperation means conditionally sharing information and resources while functioning together within an independent connected. So in typical rules with workloads accepted as unequal to change something in a way. Okay, so A, B, and C, that one. Okay, so for your assessment, okay, do the following and write your answers on a separate sheet of paper. So first is draw the table below. So you have there the table. Choose 5 types of globalization in the discussion above. So in our discussion, just choose 5. Then give concrete examples of various activities in your daily life that shows the concrete effect of globalization and identify the given effect and positive or negative. Explain your answer. So here, types of globalization, diba? There are lots of types of globalization ganina, financial, social, and so on. So what are the example of those that can affect your life activities? Then what are the positive and negative effects of it? So that's it, class. So you answer that on a separate paper. And I know all of you, you are just passing your activities in our Google Classroom. So just pass that one, class, huh? Then if you have questions, just message me in my messengers. Anyway, I will post this, I will upload this video discussion later for you to watch. So thank you so much, grade 12. Have a great day and God bless everyone. Bye.